Is everybody here?
A few people are still trickling in, but
Okay. And is Vixen here too?
um,
And I
No.
want to.
not, I don't think she's made it yet.
Okay, we're missing DeGiorio to take Melissa's place. Unless Melissa's here. Okay. Those are the only two people I see that we're missing. And then is Melissa come in, or is it the guy taking her place?
Melissa is, I forget if she's going to miss the whole meeting, but I think she had a conflict early on. But I'll check where Dion is.
Okay. And what about Vixen?
I think, yeah, Vixen emailed me earlier and said that she won't be able to make it. She's not feeling well.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna start the meeting at 1:37 p.m. And so everybody can either say what their favorite color is, or you can put it in the chat. Mine will be George Adams, chair of this committee, and favorite colors are blue of any kind and purple is mine. And yeah. So let's go on to the next one. James, go ahead and to do the announcement.
Yeah, sure. As I'm happy say that we have a co-chair. It's good to see you smiling about that, Vanessa. And because it's Vanessa Broadley, who has her Zoom name as Skrell Hub. But
So,
I'll let her change that. But yeah, that shouldn't change too much right now, but I'm just, as we get Vanessa on board, and she'll be more active in our preparations. But Vanessa, you want to say anything?
Yeah, no, just super excited. And my favorite color is black, like my soul. So love that. But yeah, I'm excited to take this on, hopefully able to keep things moving. And yeah, so yay. Thanks everyone. And my name was Girl Hub because I work for the South Coast Regional Early Learning Hub. I am the community navigator, and what my role is, early learning hubs were stood up by the state, now the Department of Early Learning and Childcare, and it is to be a no wrong door. So a any family within our community can reach out, and I really just kind of hear what's going on, and I support them through whether it's applying for SNAP or ERDC, getting them into Baby Promise, Preschool Promise, getting them referrals for early childhood intervention. So whatever that may be, that's my role. So yeah, thanks everybody.
I want to thank you, Vanessa, for coming together with me on this when needed. Thank you. Okay, James, go ahead and proceed.
Yeah, let's well, just a little reminder that we did change our schedule. I'm glad to see everyone here because we're starting a half hour earlier, and we won't have a meeting 2 weeks from now given the holiday, and we'll repeat this pattern next month. So we'll see you in December at this 1:30 time. That's basically it.
Hope we get reminder emails to remind us that okay, this week is the meeting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll definitely do that. Do you think
comes in handy?
I'm just wondering if people need a reminder to not show up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, sure. That'd be a good idea,
Okay.
especially us seniors.
What I
Fair
like,
enough.
what I'd also like to tell is, once we go through this agenda, you do have a voice in what we are doing. So feel free to voice your opinion, agree or disagree, and we go through this agenda as follows. James, take it away.
All right. Well, I think our first item on this agenda is to finalize this charter. So you probably should bring it up. No one sent any more edits on the existing charter. So just want to ask if there's any comments about it before we take a final vote on it. Should we put it up on the screen for people?
Yes.
Or
Yeah. I see some new people in here, James. You might want to maybe go over someone go over the charter real quick. Like I see a Jelly Bean that was in here. It's new.
well, just keep in mind, Jelly Bean is Samantha's.
Gerbil. Isn't it?
guinea
Is it a
pig.
guinea pig?
Okay.
James, can you or Dion put the charter up, because mine, you won't be able to see it.
Okay, yeah, I have it up ready. Let's see.
You might want to make that bigger. I mean, because
Yeah, you're absolutely right. How is that?
Can you go one more?
I can.
Yes.
Excellent. And hopefully everyone has a copy of this as well. You should have gotten one, I think, on Monday. But let's just walk through. I'm going to walk through this relatively quickly. So please raise your hand or stop or whatever. Ask me to stop as we move through. But, you know, we have well, there's some sort of technical name and authority here. I think we're far enough along that Julian is no longer an interim, but I guess I should check on that. But Article 2 is the purpose of our group. And then our vision, Oregon One Online Improvement Committee commits to create an online platform that is accessible and serves the needs of Oregonians seeking services. Okay. Article 3 is membership. Got eligibility. Got ODHS employees. And we have expectations for you, our committee members. If necessary, revocation of membership. It looks like we should list everyone here for the founding members. Forgot about that part, but we can put that in. practicing my pauses here. So Article 4, roles and responsibilities. You know, we're not following our own charter here, I realize. You know, here got George and Vanessa as co-chairs. We didn't have an election, did we?
Well, kind of. We did kind of.
Did we?
Yeah.
I think mostly the rest of us just ducked, hoping that they would be the one that got tagged.
Yeah. No, yes.
Well,
Did we ever put down? Did we ever decide what the term of office is?
Oh, yeah, we were still working. That was last week we were doing that.
Are we,
uh,
are we still working on that, or is it just?
I think what my memory of the conversation was that for co-chairs, we were talking about
Having a limit.
yeah,
we
a limit.
we had like 2-year limits,
Yeah,
and then that the members, there wouldn't be a limit, and that was a discussion.
thank you, Judy. That's exactly what I remember.
Mhm.
So could we just put that underneath the terms of office while we're here?
If we're still working with terms of office, can we have it so that they're staggered so that we don't lose both co-chairs at the same time?
Yep.
Good idea, Ruth.
Yes.
Might as well say the same for the committee members too as well.
Well, committee members are not going to be, there's not going to be a term limit.
That's what I was trying to refer to.
Yeah. Mhm.
Try it a different way.
Hey, James, is it by chance in the next section on the next page in the 4.2 there for terms of office?
Oh, good grief. There it is. Well, someone is keep me honest.
Well, I know we had discussed it before.
Yeah, I know. I was sort of surprised I didn't see it, but yeah, you get a little page break and just lose all memory. And it's staggered and everything.
And
Yep.
if this is going to become an official document, you can't break pages like that. You either have to have at least one line underneath the term of office on that same page, or bring that down to a heading for the next page.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Ruth on this, James.
I didn't.
And that might change once you add
Yeah.
the founders
Yeah.
section. That
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
push it down
Yeah.
some.
Well, I mean, just when
Yeah.
it goes to publication and final.
Right.
Yeah, the web view for some reason makes it difficult in getting rid of that page break sometimes.
Actually, James, can you put us as the founders right now, so there's no, like, we'll forget? That way it's already done.
Suppose that'll take a couple minutes, unless Dion, you want to just do it since it's on the shared page. Or I could do it, I suppose.
Yeah, just put us all on there.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Let's see. I think we've got that information. Oh, good grief, I can't see. Well,
I think we're going to waste a lot of time if we go ahead and do that, because we'll trust
Yeah.
you to go ahead and fill it in.
Yeah, that's sort of my feeling. You know, what we can do is when everyone agrees and we'll vote on it, and then we'll send it out to people. And if there's a problem, you know, we'll fix it. Because I'm inclined to agree with you, Ruth.
I agree too. Let's get to the meat of the meeting. The
Yeah.
good stuff. Let's get to the good stuff.
Excellent. So this coming summer, we'll have election for one of our co-chairs. And that'll be a July meeting. Resignation and removal.
There's nothing in there about bad behavior.
Well,
I'm always bad, so you better put it in there. Otherwise, you won't be able to get rid of me. Right, Ruth? Yeah.
that's true. There's nothing in, there's only information here about removal of officers, not committee members, is there?
No,
Is that something we need to have?
No, that was a joke.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Some of you have far more experience with these committees than I do, so.
That's usually in your policies and procedures
Right.
rather than in a charter or bylaws.
two things, I'm not quite sure if it's in here, James,
Hmm.
but two things I'm not seeing, unless I'm missing. One is put in the amount of how many people is on this committee for the max. And the other one is forgot the other one. This committee can go up to what, 10 people?
You can, as a
Oh.
maximum for our committee,
Yeah,
I didn't think there was a limit.
I don't know. I was thinking 20 when we first started, and
Mhm.
we're at about 11 now. I was just taking a look as a count, but
I think 20 is a good thing to put there, as long as we don't have to go out and recruit people because we're not at 20.
oh yeah, that's a maximum, not a minimum.
Yeah.
Is that okay? So Article 4, staff terms of office.
And what would be the option of like capping it? Because my thing is like, what if we have more interest as things come on and there's others that just want to sit in and
Mhm.
see what's happening before they make a decision, you know what I mean? Like that's
Mhm.
why I'm hesitant about capping it just yet.
Well, Vanessa, I don't think you're ever going to get to 20.
You know, that's something that I was told about another program we're running and we're hitting 50. they're like,
Fabulous.
So, I mean,
Wow.
Maybe that's just something, you know, that's not a problem now, and we can come back to it at a later date.
like it's this third quarter.
Yeah, we do
Okay, let's do that.
review. Yeah.
And, oh, I know what the other thing was.
Hmm.
If one of us is sick, needs someone to speak for us if we're sick and can't attend the meeting, there's a word for that.
You're talking about both chairs?
No, she's talking about proxy. That somebody can come and say something for someone who couldn't make it.
Correct. We definitely need to put that in.
You mean proxies for existing members? So
Like a-
everyone would identify, sort of their substitute.
Well, just that if a person would come to the meeting on behalf of someone else, we would allow that in this meeting.
Would we allow them to vote in proxy for George, who is sick, or Ruth, who is sick? Are they given that proxy? I think that's what George is talking about.
Yeah, that's what proxy is to give them permission to act for you at that meeting.
Correct. Whether it's a co-chair or a committee member.
Right.
That way
Yes.
we can make it legal. Otherwise, James, you may not get the you might not be able to get
A quorum.
yes, that's
I
what I
guess
said.
we'd go in here. Under regular meetings, quorum, decision making, and then we could have a section 5.5
Vanessa,
designated proxy votes.
well, Vanessa said something. Who's monitoring?
You guys were saying about like member and disruptions already in there. I think it's section 3. I
Oh.
think we passed it. I think
Thank you.
it's already there.
So it's already there?
Yeah, right there. Right there.
Oh,
Can
and
you be
heck, we
respectful?
already have a revocation too.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So did we go through the whole chart yet, James?
We were close.
On that revocation, there isn't anything in there about if they don't, how many meetings they can miss without being called on the carpet.
Well, what I've been doing is when people have missed a few meetings, I'll reach out to them and ask if they're ready to still attend. And sometimes they'll say, oh yeah, I'm coming back. But then often they'll be, yeah, this is not working for me, whatever. And so
Right.
just drop them. Should that be spelled out in the charter or?
Yeah, it should. Because if let's say it's a person who, you know, has not shown up for 2 months of meetings, or let's say, couldn't and didn't bother to call or email and say, I'm sorry, I can't make it. And they just kept on missing. I think those kind of people we need to move off. And sometimes just talking to them does not, oh yeah, I'll be back. And then they never come back. So then what do? You don't have it in the charter.
That
But I
hasn't
don't think they're
occurred yet.
necessarily holding a spot though. I think that would be more so if you're saying, oh, there's only 10 allowed in the committee, then I think that would make a bigger response. Because also 2 months sounds like a lot, but it's really not. I mean, maybe I'm in the sandwich generation where I got sick kids and I have in-laws dealing with treatment. So it's like a lot going on where 2 months can catch up on you. And I don't think right now, if we don't have sitting committee members where we're like, we only have 10 members, like, would that really be that? Personally, I think it would be more intimidating for someone to step in and say, hey, I want to see what this is about. If all of these things are put in place, it could be more of a barrier versus feeling more inclusive.
I'll add that I find people are pretty honest about their.
Brandy, what do you think about this? Kenneth, Mandy, Melissa, Rosette, Sydney?
Think that I think it makes sense to have something in there about it, but I think it also works. You can always, I would think you can amend it later if it becomes an issue. Like what Vanessa said about the 2 months, that's so true, especially if you have like personal things going on and it's like just so happens like, hey, this is flaring up again this week and I actually can't make it this time. But I think as long as there's strong communication maybe like checking your emails from the notes and giving feedback that way, if you can in between, is helpful. But I also understand, like, if you don't hear back at all from somebody from a while, it's kind of like instinct to be like, okay, they're not participating anymore too. I don't know if that was even helpful or if I just said a lot of words that favored.
Well,
both.
I think that you're talking about somebody who really wants to be involved, but something else is going on, than those who just aren't that involved or that connected and don't really have that much interest in being a part.
Correct.
Vixen, what do you think?
I think that when you're looking at it, like, if they're really haven't attended and have no correspondence, then that's kind of a given. And where we do have the ability to have up to 20, I think we can have that flexibility.
Sydney, what do you think? Rosetta?
I agree that, yeah, having a common agreement that communication is necessary, but also that it really isn't going to matter too much unless we have people who want to be added to the group that for whatever reason couldn't. So, yeah.
I would third, fourth, fifth that. Just being clear though on who that communication should go to. If, you know, especially if we're unable to make a meeting.
Okay. Rosetta, what do you think?
I agree with the group.
Well, James, you've got your answer.
So James, are you just gonna call a person and check in on them and say, hey, we haven't seen you in a meeting for a while. Everything okay? We miss you, blah, 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 blah. Is that what we're saying we're gonna do? Is that what the group is saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Okay.
hearing.
Okay,
And-
that's good.
And, okay,
We've got a consensus then.
I've got a list of 2 items so far of things that we will have to check in on when we review the charter in the summer.
Revisit it in the summer. Okay,
Okay,
that's good.
are we done on the charter, James, before we vote?
Required activities. Well, here it says the charter is updated and improved every 2 years, but I thought we had some review a little more often.
No, we said 2 years.
Right?
Unless something came up and we would check in on it, but every 2 years. Yeah.
Well, maybe
We could do it in between time. I mean, this says it has to be done every 2 years, but if there's a problem in between,
Yeah.
we can still do it.
Right, you can.
good. Because I think one item that we will probably want to consider soon, probably in a few months, is maybe even expanding our scope slightly, but we'll see. So
Okay. So now, here comes the fun part. Now we get to vote. I say yes. Judith, what's your vote?
Yes.
Ruth? Vixen is yes.
Yeah, okay.
So Ruth, you said yes?
Yeah, her hand's up.
Okay, April, yes. Brandy? Kenneth says yes. Brandy?
Yes.
Mandy? Vanessa, yes.
Yes.
Is there any, Rosetta?
I put yes in the chat.
Okay. Sydney
yes, in the chat.
and did Vixen vote too?
Yes, in the chat.
I would think
Okay. Then for it to be record, It is agreed upon, charter is done and finished. Until next time, James, it's done. Now, for me and Vanessa to sign it, you may have to send it to my email address, and I'm gonna try to sign it on my tablet to get it back to you. I don't know how it's gonna work with Vanessa. Do you have a tablet, Vanessa?
Or way to find PDF.
You can do that too. And
That is a logistics thing we'll have to try to figure out.
okay,
You guys have DocuSign or yeah, just send it over via PDF and I'll.
okay. Hey, we're done with it. Finally. Now, with the now the good stuff. James?
Whew. Well, we're not done with logistics, unfortunately, because there's another question is, are these Wednesday afternoons good times to meet? Now, you're all here, so it's sort of a biased question, but is this something that we need to investigate to move? Because George has been rightfully asking about, hey, where are all the calendar invites for the coming year? And we were sort of dragging our feet just because we want to have this discussion, say, when else during the week we should meet. I know we've talked previously about the 2 times a month schedule. I suppose we could talk about that again. But what's a good time?
I got Samantha's answer. Thank you, Samantha.
Earlier time be available. I know. I don't know why everyone loves meetings on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I know I'm personally slammed on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Just anything earlier. For some reason, everyone hates meetings on Mondays because I never have meetings on Mondays.
I like them on Mondays as long as they don't fall on the second Monday of every month. But yeah, Mondays are good.
Mondays work for me as well.
Mhm.
Mornings preferably, but that's okay if not.
For me, I am either off on Mondays or Fridays and my schedule rotates. So that's why I have Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday in there.
Oh, yeah, sure. Makes it limited for you.
Would it be helpful for, since there's 17 of us participating, for us to put that in the chat so then whoever's going to coordinate this can play back the recording?
Or could we also do like a survey monkey?
I thought we already did that.
Or like a doodle poll or whatever they're called?
Doodle poll?
Yeah, doodle.
We
Huh.
did that for a one shot, and I know
Oh.
it was a limited choice and we had troubles.
We could send out like a Microsoft Forms survey that has each day of the week and then like a morning or afternoon as an option, and then like we can pick within those times if that works.
Uh-huh.
We can do that if everybody's okay with that.
Sure.
Yeah, let's plan on doing that, and please fill it out then before the next meeting so we could have an informed discussion on this, because we do need to set our calendar for the coming year.
Does our calendar have to be public?
No,
It's not we're not letting the public come to the meeting. We're recording this so people can see what happens, but
I thought all state meetings like this had to be open to the public, unless they're classified as executive.
it is, but we're not classified as a state committee. Like the commissioners are. That I know of.
Oh, that was a nice little end there, George. That you know of. Well, the reason why Ruth and I are asking this is because we know that most state offices are considered public, and the calendars go public, and it's difficult to change the calendar after it's gone public. So that's why I asked that question, is because once the calendar is set up for the next 6 months or 3 months or whatever, and it's public, you can't change it. It's not something you can, gonna change that meeting. So if indeed we are considered a state entity and we are going to be public, that is something that James is going to have to look into, because our calendar will have to remain whatever we decide it will be.
Interesting
After we
question.
post
I guess we're state, we're public. People can find out what we're doing here, but it's not a public meeting per se. It's not like, we have a quorum of elected officials or anything. So it's not like we send out the Zoom link so anyone can join.
But also, this is government money, though, that's funding this committee. So therefore, it has to be able to be scrutinized by the public.
And that's why
it would just be a good idea, James, to double check, because let's not spend any time spinning our wheels on it, but just to be sure that we have all our T's crossed.
Sure.
All right, so we're going to have a thing we're going to have to send back as soon as possible about our availability for meetings. That's great.
I'm guessing hopefully before the middle of December. Is that going to be okay with you, James? That way you'll know far in advance, or would you want it here in November for everybody's response for next year?
Hopefully we get word, get everyone's responses and have a chance to look at it. Our next meeting's not for a month, so sometime, before then.
So
Okay.
by the end of November?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have Vixen that says here, November would be better because then gives everybody enough time. Reply. Oh, and as far as the meetings, because of my situation, which I can't go into, because it violates state regulations, from 10 o'clock or at least 11 o'clock in the morning on would be fine with me as far as meetings.
Okay, so we'll have our work cut out for us, looking for through forms and calendar invites. But,
George, did you say from 10 to 11?
No. I was referring to when the meeting can start.
Oh, 10 or 11.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. All right.
That way it gives me enough time to be ready and
Sure.
Such for this meeting.
You bet.
All right, well, then this is the part of the program where we turn it over to Jelly Bean's faithful companion, Samantha, to talk about change requests.
Hey guys, it's me here to talk about change requests. Well, it's my hand in Jelly Bean's face. She's having a good nap. So wait, James, you have to remind me, have we talked about how what's been going on in the realm of some of our work item requests, or do I get to be the bearer of bad news?
Yeah, we've talked about how some have, it turns out some of these work items that we thought were
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
have
Yep.
turned into a big old bad change request.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So I don't have to be the mean person today, but a little bit, but not all the way. Due to our contract with our system integrator at Deloitte, we have some contractual definitions that exist. You guys have been working very heavily in the realm of work items. Work items are defined as something that takes less than 50 hours to develop and test. That's like some color changes we can do. We can do some pop-ups with a 50-hour request. We can do a lot of text changes because text is really easy to code and test, right?
We can do some pretty small, simple changes, nothing massive, nothing fundamental. One of the ones that we thought we were going to be able to get in as a work item, it turns out it's going to be bigger than that, was I think it's number 14, I want to say, which was adding the little like color indicator if something's been added or updated on the income. We thought that was going to be really easy. And they said, yes, in fact, that is a really easy change. The problem is the testing, right? And it's 50 hours for development and testing. And it was that testing that was killing us. The reason we care so much about testing is because we don't want to just put code in and hope for the best, right? We want to really make sure that it's not going to make things worse when it goes in. I'm a huge stickler for not introducing new problems into the system with a release with new functionality. So we are very careful about our testing and we try to minimize any negative impacts. So that is work items, right? If something gets over 50 hours, they have to, by contract, become something that's called a change request. A change request is a larger change to the system. Anything over that 50 hours, usually they're large fundamental architectural changes or the release of a whole new program, things like that. So for example, we did have one request on our prioritization list that was add the ability for people to schedule their appointment. That's a super cool idea. It's a big change, right? So we call that a change request. Change requests have a slightly different, and by slightly, what I meant to say was incredibly different governance process that they go through because they are significant financial expenditures and investments on the part of the state. So with those work items, we get 40 per month as part of our contract with our system integrator. CRs, we get in the contract a number of hours per contract. I can't honestly off the top of my head remember how many hours we got in our last contract. It's in the tens of thousands range. So each time, thank you, James. Each time we pick a bigger change to move forward with, what our system integrator does is a lot like what they do with me and the work items. We go through it and we figure out how much time it's going to take. And because these are bigger changes, these are hundreds or even thousands of hours. And then we have to say, how many hours can we put out at a time? Like how many developer hours do we have in a day? How many stateside staff hours do we have in a day to fully design this, to code it, and to test it? And we have to keep in mind that we don't want to do too many changes at a time because that causes a lot of instability, right? We want to do just a few changes at a time so that we can make sure that we didn't make anything worse in the system. So that's kind of a very vague overview to what change requests are. As we're identifying kind of these bigger items, like the one about submitting, scheduling your appointments from the one online portal. What we'll do is we'll kind of get an idea of what it is, much like we do with the work items, right? We'll get an overview. We'll kind of talk about what kind of elements it would need to be, but unlike work items, we don't have to design it top to bottom. So you don't have to approve every word before we submit it. We don't have to design what it's going to look like. We just have to have a pretty rough but reasonable idea of how we want it to function. For the appointments, for example, we would say we would like a new screen added to the one online portal. Only head of household should be able to schedule the appointment. We would want it to show appointments available in the next 3 weeks or something like that. I'm just spitballing. So we'll come up with what we call the requirements. Then we'll submit those over to our system integrator. Once they get approval to start moving forward on it, they'll let us know how many hours it's going to take. And we haggle back and forth. And we really get into the kind of the deep fingers inside of designing it, like we do with our work items. We actually do those for change requests in a series of meetings called joint application design. However, because these are always such big time consuming changes, we have a backlog of them. And when I say a backlog, I don't mean like 3 months. We are scheduling out to 2025 on these because we say we only have 3,500 hours per 6 weeks. So that includes all of our development, all of our meetings about it, all of our testing. For every 6-week release, we can only put 3,500 hours worth of work in. That doesn't mean we do that 3,500 hours in 6 weeks. That would be the worst thing that has ever happened to me. But it means that we're gonna, over the next 2 years, for something we have scheduled out to 2025, we're going to put 3,500 hours worth of work into that release. So, I'm not sure if I'm because you guys aren't here for me to see your faces and like get like the, oh, I'm completely lost, Sam, or the, yeah, I'm following you, Sam. I'm just going to keep going and hopefully you guys tell me if I'm saying things that make sense or if you're like, Sam, I'm completely lost.
Let's take a pause for a moment though. So
Okay.
Thank you, Vixen. Well,
Plus, thanks.
yeah, because this is a lot and I'm still getting my head around all this too. And I get to corner Samantha on a regular basis to ask questions. But
I'm going to be honest, James, I'm getting my head around it too. We are in the process of really digging in and defining our process for this right now. So that's why I'm not giving you a lot of very deep details. I'm kind of giving you the 50,000 foot.
Yeah. Oh, and that's what we want. And I want to add too, that's part of the reason we don't have a nice presentation for you is because this process in a lot of ways is still being developed. But, you know, change requests, they're big, we're backed up, and well,
they're expensive.
And well, that's part of the reason is they're expensive.
Yeah.
So, but okay, just giving a moment for people to process and ask any questions. And hopefully everyone's not just catching up on their emails or something.
Sam, this is George.
Sure.
Could you explain to the group, I know you explained to them before, but explain to the group the big difference between the reason why these are taking long, because the difference between the text and the other type of items that you explained before?
So it really just comes down to with text, updating the coding for text is really easy, right? And then the testing is relatively simple. You run through it once, you can make sure that it showed up, right? These are all really easy. And we can hash out what text we want. We don't have to involve our system integrator to decide what words we want to put on the screen. But when we get into more complex things, like adding the ability to schedule an appointment, we actually do design sessions where you guys may be invited to give feedback during these design sessions with our system integrator, and we do live system design in these. They're not actually coding it, but they're working on mock-ups. We're hashing out all of the functionality for all of the portions of the system that will be impacted. These are much bigger. They just take a ton of time. And then the testing becomes really complex because you need to run through every possible way you could interact with what we just changed. And you need to do what's called regression testing, which is making sure that what we just added didn't break anything else. So we do kind of like a couple of what we call end-to-end, front to beginning, intake, all the way through issuing benefits or whatever, tests to make sure we didn't just break anything. And that's why these CRs, the change requests, are much bigger and much more complex. Now, I've given you guys all the bad news, like they're expensive, we're backed up on them. That doesn't mean we can't submit them. In fact, Oregon, when I was out in September, it's because I had to go do a presentation in Florida, right? Because we were given an award for all of our work in customer experience. And Oregon really does prioritize customer experience and making sure that customers can interact with the system. So if we have a good idea, we should still take those ideas and push them forward and try to get them prioritized as change requests. They can be expensive. That's okay. We can find funding for it. We can apply for grants. We can just, the governor has said that one of her priorities is ensuring that people have access to apply for and manage their benefits. She cares a lot about customer experience in getting benefits from ODHS, so we can lean on those priorities to make a case to get the work done. But as I said, it is a backlog, so it's not like if we come up with a great idea today, we can necessarily move forward with it today. These are long range goals, which is why in part I try to kind of keep the group focused on smaller changes, because we can make those faster and we can do a lot of them. We can do 4 of them a month. It's really quick turnover changes, but I do recognize that we have good ideas that we need to start moving forward. So as we're submitting ideas, what I do and what James does is we look through that list, and I go through and kind of mark out what I can guess. And my guessing's not always right, but I can guess something's either going to be a work item, or I guess it's probably going to be a change request. Like I said, with that number 14, I was wrong. I thought it could be a work item, and our developer thought it could be a work item, really until they started doing some in-depth analysis, and then they were like, oh, well, actually, we were also wrong. So we need to change paths on it. We can get them submitted, and then we'll find a sponsor. James, do you know if Jillian is our strategic map sponsor for these? Who's taking these to strategic prioritization?
Strategic prioritization, you mean for this group developing change requests?
Yeah, so every group, when change requests get submitted, they need to have somebody who is a participant on the strategic prioritization quarterly meetings to kind of pick up and advocate for them. James, your face.
Yeah.
So ECIC, which is our worker counterpart to this group, has a woman named Erica who is their sponsor, and she'll go in and go, no, staff are really saying we need to do this. This is important. And she advocates to get them prioritized. Now, of course, we're butting up against everybody else's priorities, right? Like federal priorities, legislature priorities, program priorities. So it takes a strong advocate. We will have an advocate who will go in and say, like, nope, we're hearing from the public, this change absolutely needs to happen. This is critical for the public to be able to consider continue moving forward. I want to know who I need to be priming with info. And if it's Jillian, that's great for me. And if it's not, I'll figure out who it is and I'll hunt them down and make sure that they start advocating for OOIC priorities. We just need to make sure we know who it is.
So, yeah, sorry, we're talking about someone you guys haven't met, but Jillian is my boss, and she probably is the person who would be the advocate for these. That's,
Okay.
yeah, I'll have to check with her to verify, but yeah.
But right now we'll say Jillian because it helps me explain this process a little bit more. And if it's not Jillian, we'll figure it out. But Jillian can be our placeholder person, or we can say Jelly Bean. Nobody ever denies Jelly Bean. So what will happen is we'll get together kind of our rough idea. Like I said, we don't need to get into the nitty gritty. We don't need to figure out every word it's going to say. We just get an idea and we will take it to Jelly Bean. Jelly Bean goes to our prioritization meeting and she goes, hey, clients are saying, or customers are saying, Oregonians are saying, system users are saying that we need to make this change. We need to get appointments available for people to be able to book through their portal. It's really important to them. Jelly Bean and the rest of the group who are also there kind of advocating for, you know, whatever new medical program or food program the legislature has come up with, and whatever federal priorities have been put in to figure out what our top priorities are going to be for the next quarter. The next quarter of scheduling, basically. And right now, like I said, it's out to 2025. So let's say third quarter of 2025. What are we going to try to get done in that? And they'll haggle and push things around and give the benefits and the disadvantages and the risks and all of that to doing something or not doing something. Which is why we want to have a strong argument, and we hope that Jelly Bean reads her briefing sheet and can advocate for us very well. If it is prioritized, that's when it comes back to me and I start working with our vendor to figure out how many hours it's going to take and exactly when we think we're going to release it. If it's not prioritized, it kind of goes in a waiting pool. It comes back the next quarter to talk about again. But in our happy path, we're going to send it along, gets prioritized. It will go to a meeting where they say, oh yeah, we're gonna do that for November 2025. Absolutely, let's do it. We'll start identifying the people who are going to come do the design with us, and start getting those meetings booked out. We usually get them booked out about 12 months in advance. Some of them go out a little bit further depending on the complexity. And as we get about 9 months from that date when we want to do our release on the CR, so we said that Jelly Bean managed to get us November 2025. Around February 2025, we'll actually start doing meetings where we sit with the system integrator and talk about exactly the little finite details. We need a button that's green. We don't want the button to be blue. It needs to be green. We want it to say exactly these words. We need it to pass back exactly these details. And we'll do that design and it'll carry forward. And then magically in November, after all the testing done, a CR will go through. Gonna stop for a little bit. Anybody have any questions about how that process happens?
Sam, this is George. With a bunch of group on this committee, I have full confidence that we can work as a well-oiled machine, getting through this as quickly as possible in a timely manner. We have a good bunch of people that work together as one entity, and I think that I'm really proud of that.
I know that this group can do a phenomenal job of pushing things through. We've come up with so many good ideas already. And I'm really excited to start submitting these CRs for you guys. Let me see, was there any other points we wanted to touch on? We kind of talked about when something becomes a CR and the process it goes through.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have to review that process. We'll be developing our process too, but one thing to keep, I want this group to be aware of is the types of things that are in the pipeline right now. Like I'm looking at this list. It's SNAP court ordered support exclusions. So a court is ordered that we have to do some changes in SNAP. That's the type of thing that gets you bumped up toward the top of the list. And it's a hodgepodge of things here. But yeah. Federal mandates, statutes that have been passed with certain implementation dates. So that's part of the reason there's just this immense pressure to make these changes. And so we're going to have to be pretty strategic of of the types of things that fall as a change request that we'll want to push. And
Right.
we're looking at, apparently a fall of 2025 for some of these things.
So James, we can log anything we want. If we have something and we think we've got it's a good one, we really want to move forward with it, we can log it. But I agree with you that we need to be strategic about the ones we push, right? We don't want to put a bunch of weight behind everything and anything. We need the ones that are really truly important, because we're only going to be able to push so many at a time. So within ourselves, we need to prioritize, and we've done a great job on that with the work items. Within the within the change request as well, we're going to have to say, this is our number one, and we really truly need this, and this is where we need our advocate to be pushing for prioritization first. And then this is our second, and then this is our third. So it's really about us making sure that we're not only coming up with good ideas, but we're building out and documenting our argument for why they're important. And we're prioritizing them so we know where to focus fire, what we want Jelly Bean to be rapidly supporting in her meeting. Some of the other things that are on here, we do have a couple of interesting ones. We have some expansion of languages that notices will be available in. I believe right now we're talking about expanding it to 114 languages. Our notices currently come out of the system in 7, and everything else takes a couple of weeks to get the translation. It would do real-time translations to 114 languages. We're also looking at things like expanding the basic health program. The basic health program will be coming out in June 2024. We're looking at changes to the periodic report form. So for those of you who are on SNAP or know people who are on SNAP, you have every 6 months if you're in a 12-month certification, or 12 months if you're in a 24-month certification, you have to fill out a periodic report to update us. We're redoing the form so that it's nice for people to read. It's easier for people to read in phase 1 for 2024. In 2025, we're actually looking at some technology to allow us to automate the processing of that form if people say there are no changes. So there's lots of things on the list that are coming for customer enhancement. It's not all just federal requirement. So
I'll make a pitch. So if you've been on SNAP, you've known anyone on SNAP, you have to do these 6-month updates, and that's the form that literally hundreds of thousands of people will be getting over the course of a year. And so if we can improve that and improve the flow, then it benefits lots of people, and making the form more understandable is a big one. So.
Okay, so Cindy, Vanessa, Mandy, Kenneth, Judith, Randy, April, Vixen, what is your voices on this? Rosetta, what's your voice on this?
Well, I'm hearing it. What was the question?
What do you think about Samantha's idea, what she was presenting, and any ideas you can give Samantha and James?
Well, I thought she was just explaining the process to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's any feedback, any questions, we certainly want to hear that. And sometimes it's just like I was in a meeting earlier where I just sort of said what I thought was sort of a basic question, and it spurred a decent discussion, but through dumb luck, nothing clever on my part. But
how often can they change the rules? Because I know the feds can come in and change all this anytime they want. Is there any guidelines on what we will have to deal with when they change rules?
I wish that there were, Ruth. It would make my life a lot calmer and easier, but no, you're right. They come in and change them whenever they want, and they kind of say, hey, you need to fix this now. So it can be very stressful, and it can put our best laid plans into a situation where we need to look at what our priorities are and readdress the priorities as an entire department. So it's not like one group or another, kind of has to give up their priorities. It's as a department in whole, we all have to go, okay, what can wait a little bit longer because the feds just kind of threw a monkey wrench in. Feds and legislature does that to us sometimes too. They famously like to pass bills that are effective upon passage, which means that if they we need to start doing it the second it passes, which is very hard to design in anticipation of. So yeah, they get us sometimes. It can be a little bit tough. I'm very busy. They keep me busy. But yeah, there's nothing that's stopping them from doing that at any point. And we just need to be dynamic and be prepared to go, okay, we won't get that for November 2025. We'll get it for December 2025. And other groups make those sort of decisions too.
I don't know. My only comment is, I know you said that there's some things that are already in the pipeline, but there's also other things that are backlogged. Is there a place where we can access and view what is already in the pipeline or backlog, so then we can then either share via email or bring forward to the group, like, hey, page 10 of this, what would this look like? Or should we, yeah, this is a very, it could get very in the weeds. So my only question is, well, what can we do from here? Where can we jump in? Because it's also very difficult to come in, introduce what the change is going to be, and then think it through versus like, is there a place that I can go to and do my homework and say, hey, well, I don't have a question about the entire thing, but what this would look like when it is presented or when it's going out or who is it going to affect?
Vanessa, you're breaking up a little bit, but I think we got the center of your question there is like, well, what's the next step? What do we do here with this? And we're collecting a list of all the items that we've looked at that turned out to be change requests. And I think we'll be presenting that. And so with this background information, it gives some context so that when this group wants to move forward with a larger item, with a change request, you know what you're getting yourself into. And we can do that. We'll be able to do that. It's not going to go in 2 months. It's more like a year and a half or further.
Vixen reads here, feel like we are here to do what we need when it comes to us, and we have to keep an open mind and willingness. Judith, did you have something to say?
No, but I will. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I took my headset off, so I don't know if you can hear me. I thought Jelly Bean's mom, or her summation today was very good, and it was very clear. You know what? This is the life of working with legislature. This is the life of working with Oregon bureaucracy. We just have to roll with it. We are here just to do what we can, and eventually the things that we do will make a big difference. But we can't take personal everything that we can't do. So it is what it is. My opinion.
Double thank you, Judith, both for your kind compliment and for that great level set.
Is there any way that if this becomes something that is detrimental to the people that we serve, that there is some way that we can push a button somewhere to get something to move a little faster or change priorities?
Yeah, that would be whoever the whoever plays Jelly Bean in those prioritization meetings. If we're starting to see, for example, we're having, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a catastrophic issue that we would address. We've had a massive influx of individuals who speak a language that the one online portal isn't available in, right? Just for example.
Mhm.
And it is because detriment that they can't use the one online portal. It would be Jelly Bean or whoever is actually the person who's going to be our sponsor. It would be them going back to the prioritization group and saying, hey, we actually need to readdress the priority of this because we're seeing a massive detriment. And within that group, they would talk about, you know, who would be willing to delay their change to let our change come in sooner. Another one we have coming up, we know that account creation is a problem and a challenge. We don't love it, right? We've received from the feds what's called a corrective action on what a challenge it is. So that's actually pushing the priority on that faster than it would have gone otherwise. So things like that can happen. And again, it just comes down to that group kind of renegotiating based on those new factors, that new information. It does happen, and there is a method and path for it.
Hey, I think we should probably take a break. I'm guessing people are a little fried, and I did want to acknowledge Vanessa had another part of her question that I totally skipped, so I wrote a response to in the chat. But yeah, we need more transparency about these change requests. So we will be working on that. But why don't we come back at 2:55 if that works for people? Okay, so stretch your legs, get a glass of water, whatever, and we'll see you shortly.
See you all at 2:55. Do you want to turn the recording off, James?
Well, all right, I guess we are getting back. I really appreciate the discussion because I think the first time I heard more about change requests, my eyes sort of glazed over, and so this was I'm very impressed, happy about this group. But we do have some work items that we'll discuss. I think this will be something that we'll be discussing in our prep meeting next week, but just how to approach, how we're going to handle change requests and what's in the queue already. But back to our work items, and thanks to Angel for sharing the slides. We do have a few items that are coming through, including, fingers crossed, everything goes well tonight. Request 15 will actually go into the system where that's the middle one there, the removing the banner saying that you need to complete renewal is actually comes down when you submit it. There's a nice idea that I remember some people were excited about. So good to hear that, Samantha. And you can see options 5 and 3 are also a go for later in the month. We did a lot of work on the language around withholding of removal and pop up asking if the applicant would like to go paperless. So that's what we've done. Keep going. Yeah, perfect.
Oh, wait.
And yeah, George.
Go back when I was trying to read request 15. Did 15 go in or not go in yet?
It should be going in tonight.
Okay, so it's on track. And
Yep.
number three doesn't go in until November 29th, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we're on track?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, font got a little small here, but we've got request 6 is actually our big topic. And let me just say briefly in request 2, we're going to have to be sitting on this one for a while since we'll have plenty to discuss. Maybe we should discuss at some point, but that, as I've been saying each meeting, we need to have staff set aside to actually receive the feedback. That's request 2. But request 6, we should bring up the language on that. I don't know if Angel, you have it handy. I can bring it up too. But are we good? Remember, this was clarifying this miscellaneous document screen about how to, or whether you need to keep uploading text.
I can pull it up, but it's gonna look dark. I don't think you'll be able to read it.
I've got it up.
Here,
If you
let
want me
me
to share it.
stop sharing.
What happened to it being black?
My settings are different, so everything looks dark.
You're gonna have to figure out how to get your settings. So this is how the screen looks right now, and it's
James,
and
if you, is this the one that I rewrote? If you scroll down and I put in the edits or
yeah,
scroll up?
and so
Okay.
yeah, here's the new stuff. Yeah. So just waiting. And Samantha, do you want to talk about this? You probably do a better job than I can on this.
Well, we had, for those of you who don't remember, just a little level set on this one. This is a screen that comes up after an individual has finished filling out an application or a renewal or reporting their change. And this allows them to upload documents they think that we might need. Now, the quick reminder on this is specifically for programs that do not get an approved or denied out of the one online portal. So medical assistance that doesn't have an interview will get approved or denied or pending right out of the one online portal. But your SNAP, your cash assistance, ERDC, and medical with services, in-home care services or long-term care services and supports, they require an interview. So the system doesn't know exactly what items to ask you to upload until you do that interview. But this screen gives people a chance, even though the system doesn't know for sure exactly what it's going to need, you can upload things if you want to. It's an optional screen. The feedback we heard from the community partner outreach program with OHA is that people found the wording here confusing and a little bit scary. Specifically the part around proof of legal immigration status. That's no longer actually true because of the Healthy Oregon program, but also it's kind of scary, right? If you have a immigration status that you may not want to share with ODHS or government agencies, or you know, you just have concerns around that, that could be very scary wording. So we wanted to kind of clean this up, make it a little less intimidating. We wanted to to make it a little easier to understand for people who are seeing the screen, that uploading documents from this screen is optional. They don't have to do anything here. And to give good examples of the kinds of things that they may want to upload here. So yeah, we started on some changes to this screen last time, and I believe we were going to try to wrap them up this time. I will say that if we can get our draft done today, I can get it over to the Community Partner Outreach Program to have them look at it, and we may be able to get this for the first release in January. Tomorrow is the cutoff to say we want things for the first release of January. So if we can get this to a 90% complete draft, I think we can move forward with it for the first release of January.
Are you wanting our vote? Sam?
Sorry, you cut out and then I couldn't get off of mute. What were you saying, George?
Are you wanting the committee's vote on this for this to go through, or?
I think we already voted to go through. We were working on cleaning up the language. So we had started drafting new language that we wanted on this screen. Melissa, does this have all the edits we were working on last time?
I also can't get myself off mute. Yes, it should have all the edits on there.
Okay.
I have a looks great from Vanessa, so.
I am still seeing that we're asking for proof of legal immigration status, and that may be something we want to consider removing and replacing, or just flat out removing.
So are you,
down in the.
so are you asking us for our opinion on this?
It is something that the Community Partner Outreach Program has said they have concerns about. So, you know, I would like this group to also think, does that stand out as particularly concerning, especially with the understanding that we do have medical programs that do not require you to have proof of legal immigration status to receive them. So it's not legally true. So my recommendation would be to remove it, but it's the call of this group.
So I'm in that other group, and one of the things that we were talking about is that even if we put like proof of citizenship, like for newborn babies, they always ask for that. So if they already have it when we're putting in a one application for medical. So I think the immigration status part of it could be removed, but maybe the, you know, citizenship or something, because that is something that they're still often asked for, depending on which program it is.
That's a great point, Vixen. I wonder if we want to soften it up just a touch, so that it doesn't feel exclusionary to individuals who are not citizens. So maybe say something like, for US citizens, proof of citizenship.
Yeah. I just know that, like you said, there is still sometimes a need for citizenship documentation to be uploaded, but then not always is it needed. So it's kind of a tricky area, but like you said, that legal immigration status, because of like the Healthy Oregon, we don't need that. So it's where the system now does multiple functions. It's somewhat I was wondering like how it says like identification, proof of income. Even if we just said other things that may be needed, I don't know. Or like how you just said, just soften it up.
Rosetta, what do you think? Mandy? Ruth, Judith? April? Kenneth?
Well, to me, I need to know how it is stated in the directive that we are trying to follow.
So this one already has changes, right? Because I feel like this is already pretty cleaned up in comparison to what it was before. Like before it said, we need documents or you may need. So I think, I don't know, this to me looks great. You also cut up, I know towards the end, it was a little redundant on the original one, but I think it looks good so far.
Yeah, this is the one that we had a lot of criticism about. And I thought we had this one pretty much done. I mean, there were some things there that we couldn't do, but
I agree. I thought we had already went over this.
mhm.
Well, we have gone over it, but we took out what the first sentence of that first paragraph that was, pretty harsh. We need proof to see if you're eligible. And we took out a couple sentences of the last paragraph that were a little redundant, but I'm still, maybe I missed it a little bit, but this concern about this sentence is now what I'm curious about it, especially Vixen with your experience, that group.
But isn't that,
It needs a change.
isn't this reality? I mean, isn't this really required? Proof of legal immigration status?
No, not for medical, no.
So this is not required for medical. So why is that in there?
At one time it was, and we've since added additional programs available to individuals who do not necessarily provide us with a legal immigration status for whatever reason they don't provide it.
So can we just take that out? Identification, proof of income?
I think we could make that sort of move. Yeah.
Okay.
The question is, do we want to replace it with something such as saying, for citizens, proof of citizenship? Do we want to just only have 2 bullet points? Do we want to put something like other things you think may be helpful in your application? Do we want to replace it or not? I think.
I feel like the sentence in the first paragraph kind of describes what you're talking about, Sam. If there's other documents you think may be useful, you can upload them here as well. I feel like that clarifies it. In which case I don't think the immigration line is necessary.
That's the scary line.
So does everybody agree with the immigrant status taken out?
Randy, I saw you come off mute. Yeah.
I know, I've had a lot of different thoughts. And I just double clicked myself. So if there's going to be a list at all, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't a part of the last meeting, because it says you may need to provide some of the items listed below. I mean, you could say you could take that out, the bullets, and just say there may be other documentation that may need to be provided. Please include whatever you think might be useful. But if we want to have a list at all, putting a few more bullets and taking out the legal immigration status so it's not so intimidating, because some folks that might be reading this may not read it the way that it's written, or need help interpreting it and see some of these keywords and be like, oh, what do I do now? And be intimidated by it. But you could add in, like, might need, pay stubs or something like that. Just like adding in a few more things. So it's not like these 3 main bullet points of, like, someone might look at that and not read everything and be like, oh, I need those 3 things and I don't have that. My thoughts.
But it already says, if there are any other documents you think may be useful. So if you do not need to upload anything in the last screen, identification, proof of income, have we just kind of filled space? Just to put in something to replace proof of legal immigration? Why not just have 2 bullet points? Identification, proof of income, or anything else you might think might help. I just can't think of anything else that we want to add in there. You guys are the professionals. You know, you're at the front lines, you hear us.
Kenneth, what is your thought?
That is me. I'm the one who's blathering. I just want this to be as easy as possible. If it's not necessary, clean it up.
Kenneth, what's your thought, Kenneth? Rosetta?
I mean, if the bullet points aren't necessary, then yeah, I guess we could just get rid of all those too.
April?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have a dog in this fight. Sometimes I personally think more information is better. I've seen a lot of cases get held up because they don't have what they need. But if the immigration status, it definitely reads as like, if you don't have this, don't bother applying. So
Can you think of anything else that can go in there instead of legal immigration status or April?
I don't know, maybe like even like birth certificates, social security numbers, if you have them.
Okay, all right, that's good. That's good. That's good stuff. Yeah, okay.
I agree with April because same thing, like this information, like it's for some people, I would, if you're applying for a certain benefit, most of the times, you know, like, okay, they're most likely going to want my work schedule or so on and so forth. So having some guidance of what those additional documents may be, I think are useful.
Yeah, I feel like if proof of legal immigration status is necessary for some of these programs, could we notate which programs? So then if it's necessary, they can upload it. I haven't had experience applying, so I don't know if this would have been clarified earlier, but I just feel like being as clear on this page is, yeah, is best.
I like that idea, Sydney, like putting what programs would most likely ask for that stuff.
It's complex pretty fast is one of the things though, is like, I know I'm thinking of SNAP, you know, if you have proof of legal status or residency or something or other, then you're in, but if not, then you can do this other thing of taking 5 years and yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking out loud, and that's it's more your job. And
Okay, we need to vote on this. So who's all in favor in taking the,
Well, we don't need to vote on it yet. We need to decide what the third bullet point's gonna be. If we're gonna add something else to it. Like any other documents you like. i.e. social security card, birth certificates. Passports, I don't know. That's not my sector. April could probably do that better than I, but that's.
So when you look at like identification, that kind of has different, like, if you look at it, it'll tell you, these are different ways to provide identification. And this is proof of income, and then it gives you some outlines of what, when they get their RFIs, like what is income? If you did citizenship, it could say past it, you know, student body card, social security card, those type things, because sometimes citizenship doesn't do identification, we have found out in the system.
So do we just want to take the third bullet out completely?
I'm gonna have to go with April on this because I see people might have problems with the immigration status word.
Maybe if it just said or any other things you may feel might be needed. They may know that they've had to supply it in the past.
Right, right. So the third bullet could be any other. Any other,
Feels like it's redundant.
I'm kind of like lost there. Any other.
You could just say, if there are other documents you think may be useful, you can upload them here.
Any other, okay,
You can
any other
upload
documents that, yeah,
I've already uploaded on the last screen.
good.
And then you can leave
That's
it
good.
and done.
Thank you for saving me, Brandy.
Sounds like we'll need to maybe work with CPOP and get another draft in front of you guys.
But you've still got that last paragraph stuck in there, proof of legal immigration. Is that coming out?
Well, according to Sam, this has to go out.
I know, we need to move on and get it done so that it can be ready tomorrow.
Well, we have I mean, if this waits, well, this could, I mean, do you want to push it out now or do you want to wait till for February for it to go out?
People?
Sam, is this that have to go out here soon?
So there are, how do I want to say this? So there are like 2 checkpoints, right? For the January 10th build, the first one is tomorrow. And tomorrow we have to say, yes, we want this to go for January 10th. And then we have until, hold on a second, I have to look at my calendar. I want to say December 8th to 100% finalize it. So if we want to say we're going to try to get this done by December, but for January 10th, we can take where we are right now. I can send it over to CPOP, get information, get their feedback. They said they could do it in 7 to 10 days and bring it back to this group. You know what? We don't have another meeting this month, so you guys probably would not get to see the CPOP feedback before the 8th.
Of December?
Yeah, we have, what's our next one? The December 6th, but we have to finalize it.
Next meeting is December 13th.
December 13th, yeah, we wouldn't be able to because we have to be done by, this group needs to be pretty happy and pretty satisfied by the end of this meeting, and have CPOP take their stab at it because we won't have another chance to meet before we have to finalize it for January 10th. We can always say, hey, it's not going to be January 10th, it's going to be January 24th, and we can spend a little more time on this and have a little more feedback loop on it.
Here's a question for you, Sam. If in fact it's not approved this time, can we go back, say, January, February, the next time and go over this again? Or is this going to be the last time of this status?
Yeah, we can continue working on this. We don't have to submit it until we're pretty happy with it. We don't have to reserve a time and submit it until we're in a good spot. So if we want to keep working on it, we can keep working on it. If we want to send it over to CPOP, get what they have, and then look at that at our next meeting, we can do it that way. Whatever works for you guys. And we'll just get it set into a build based on this group's guidance. When you're feeling comfortable enough, when you think we've got it to its 90%, we'll get it set to a build.
So what does the group want?
Well, Ruth has her hand up.
Okay, Ruth, go ahead.
I have a concern on the last line of the first paragraph. When you're talking about uploading anything or you already uploaded, how many people, or is this defined anywhere else in this document? And in the instructions to the people as to what uploading is?
We ran into this discussion. It's good to remind us, because here we use the word attach.
I know we talked about it at last meeting that we were gonna try to keep it uniform.
Yeah.
We need to make a decision because we've only got like 5 or 10 more minutes.
Yeah, we do.
Can you just change the button from attach to upload to match this verbiage? Or is that a different? Too much work.
I think those are separate. Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but attaching it is different than uploading it, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yep.
'Cause I remember we did talk about this last time and we didn't want to necessarily remove upload because we use that terminology in other places.
But is it defined on how to do it? We're dealing with people that don't have a lot of computer skills. Are
Right.
they?
That's usually when they end up contacting my team and my team helps walk them through on how to do that specifically. So there's the numbers out there on how to contact the applicant portal tech team, and any assistance at all when it comes to using the online portal, they'll walk them through happily and spend time with them and help them get comfortable. I don't think there's anywhere specifically that calls out exactly what that means, Sam, right? But that's what the applicant portal team is there for.
Yeah, there isn't any sort of like definitions of what it means to attach and upload.
Okay, so
Well, I think that is a related question about should we be using upload or attach, and the larger fundamental question, George, I think is the one you were about to ask of how quickly should we move this forward? Should we rewrite and bring it back for December, or?
okay, I'm going to suggest to the group, since this is important to all of us, let's just, my opinion suggestion would be, let's move this to the next meeting in December. And then we can talk about it. Do we all agree with that, guys? And it says yes. Okay, is Kenneth the only one that says yes?
I say yes.
Okay, Brandy's yes.
In April.
Say yes.
And
April, yes. Okay, Cindy, yes. Okay, and then who else am I missing? Ruth, Judith?
Okay,
I'm not sure.
yeah, that's fine. December's fine. I just, yes, okay.
Okay, Ruth?
I said this time, I'm just not sure which way to go on it.
Okay, well, at this time, let's move it to December's meeting, James. And
Yeah,
then,
we'll do some more homework to get another draft and get some more firm answers. I still like what Ruth pointed out about the whole attached upload thing too. We can think about that some.
yeah, because see, I was questioning that too in our last 1 or 2 meetings with that too. So now, did we have anything else on the agenda?
Oh, yes, we did, but we're about at time. So let me just say that on your agenda, there are 5 items, 2 oldies but goodies, and 3 newer things. I think once upon a time, we actually had you guys take a look and vote on these, but the hope was that we would have a discussion and talk about which ones you wanted to prioritize, but it sounds like we may need to just put that discussion off until later.
Sam, the things that are on the agenda from this point, are they going to have to be going in here soon? The rest of them, after what we discussed, that's on the agenda?
You know what? They go in when we get to them, James.
Yep.
We didn't have time to discuss them, so they're not going to be for January 10th. But we'll get them in when we get them in, you know?
Yeah.
I'd rather us have thoughtful, good conversation and get to good solutions than to rush just to fill a bill.
Okay, Melissa, please make note that we'll take 4, 9, 13, 16, and 18 to the next meeting in December.
Got it. Thank you.
And then we'll finish them up in December. I appreciate everybody's time and decision-making and voicing your opinion on all this. I'm pretty sure that once again, we work as a well-oiled machine. We can get all this done with no problems. There will be some bumps in the road from time to time, but I'm pretty sure we can get it all done. So I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. It's coming up here in the month of November, and I know Veterans Day is coming this Friday, or is it Saturday? Okay, so I wish everybody safe travels and try what you can and staying out of the COVID idea. I will see you all guys in December of the 2-hour meeting, and I'll meet the other guys meeting here on the 15th. Talk to you guys later. It's adjourned.
Thank you.